Down and dirty tour about the F8F Bearcat. This is the Bearcat. The Bearcat was introduced in 1945, and it was a pursuit interceptor used to protect the fleet from kamikazes more than anything else. It's got a 2,800 cubic inch engine. We're rated at 2,100 horsepower. We have a hollow, very light, very big, but very light propeller from Aero Products. That's one of the real innovations of this aircraft. The other thing that we did, other than the Corsair had a gulled wing because it needed this long landing gear. This one takes advantage of a German design where it goes two directions, goes up in there. All of this made this aircraft the most powerful, smallest, and lightest interceptor that we ever had. This could climb to 10,000 feet in 94 seconds from a dead stop. It took a third generation jet to match that 10,000 foot rate of climb. That's what made this so powerful and so wonderful at the end of the war. Now, coming over to this side, what's really interesting about this was the first aircraft they used for the 6-ship Blue Angels. There was a 4-ship Blue Angels, and that started with Hellcats. The Hellcat actually won half the war in the Pacific. Hellcat was a wonderful weapon. It's got more kills than any other aircraft. Some people think it was the Mustang or the P-47 or the Corsair. It was Hellcat. But this Bearcat came along right after the Hellcat, at the end of the war, right at the very end of the war, and the founding father of the Blue Angels, Butch Vorse, he decided that's what he's got to fly. So when Admiral Nimitz told Butch, I want to put together a team, they started with 4 Hellcats, and shortly after that they went to a parade, a ticker parade in Manhattan, New York. At that parade, one of the guys went out to a bar, typical guys, right? They found a bar named the Blue Angel Lounge. That's how the name Blue Angels came about. So they decided when the Bearcats got delivered, this is the first real Blue Angel colored aircraft with the Blue Angel on the side. They flew it for about 2.5 years, and then they went to F9s. They went to jets, and that was pretty much marked the end of the propeller era. Now, the neat thing about Vorse, you say, well, he was the founding father of the Blue Angels. He was a lot more than that. At 22 years old, he entered the military, 1941. He grew up in LA. He used to play with balsa wood airplanes as a kid. He had his first assignment on the Hornet in, I think it was 42, 43, and he had a confrontation with a Zero. He shot down the Zero. He got badly shot up too, made it back to the Hornet. His next employment, he's on the Enterprise. And he got a hold of a guy, Butch O'Hare, which O'Hare Airport's named after. Butch O'Hare, and the guy said, look, we want to go and fly missions in the darkness. So this guy here, they'd go out and launch themselves as far as they could. And this is like a doodle kind of raid kind of thing. Right when they're about at bingo fuel, when they're almost out of fuel, in the middle of the Pacific, if they saw something, they would knock it down, and then the Japanese would say, where'd it come from? The Japanese were convinced we had multiple carriers in the Pacific because these guys, dead at midnight, they'd go out as far as they could and then come back on fumes. One day, Butch did exactly that. He knocked down the Zero, came back, made it back, and Guadalcanal. And you know, they couldn't figure out, how did this plane get way out in the Pacific? It's because these guys were crazy. They did crazy things throughout their life. So when they got picked, when Vorse got picked to be the first leader of the Blue Angels, he was a very seasoned veteran. So that's a little bit about the Blue Angels, a little bit about the plane. The plane really was at the end of the war, so it never got in a confrontation. Had it been in a few months earlier, it would have been devastating to the enemy. because it is that much superior to the Mustang and the Corsair. It's a wonderful aircraft. If you want, we can go up and take a look at the cockpit. Well, why don't we go around it so you take a look at just how pretty this aircraft is. Why don't you take a pan of the aircraft? There's a nickname for the Bearcat. They called it a 2800 with a pistol grip. And what they meant was that it was nothing but an engine with little tiny wings. Now let's go up in the aircraft. You take a picture of the cockpit.